Pompeii was not simply destroyed. It was interrupted, buried, and left waiting beneath the earth. In the shadow of Mount Vesuvius, a Roman city lived with markets, temples, bakeries, workshops, and crowded streets. To the people walking its stone roads, the mountain above them looked familiar, almost ordinary. The city belonged to the Roman world, but its streets still carried older Greek, Oscan, and Campanian memories. Pompeii was wealthy, busy, and proud. Its walls, streets, and public spaces showed a city built to be seen. The Forum formed the public heart of the city, where politics, trade, religion, and rumor moved through the same open space. Around that center stood temples, basilicas, shops, and porticos, framing daily life as if the city expected to last forever. But Pompeii had already been warned once before. A powerful earthquake struck the region in the year 62. Walls cracked, buildings fell, and repairs were still underway when the final disaster arrived 17 years later. That earlier earthquake was not understood as a warning from a sleeping volcano. It was treated as damage to rebuild from. The people restored houses, repainted rooms, reopened businesses, and kept living beneath Vesuvius. The city was full of movement, carts grinding over paving stones, customers gathering at food stalls, and workers tending ovens. Bakeries turned grain into bread with heavy meals, making ordinary food inside rooms that would soon become archaeological evidence. Homes of the wealthy opened into atriums, gardens, columns, painted walls, and carefully arranged spaces of status. In houses like those of the Veti and Pansa, private rooms revealed how power could be performed through architecture. Frescoes covered walls with gods, myths, gardens, masks, and illusions of a larger world beyond the room. Pompeii was not a silent ruin. It was loud, painted, crowded, commercial, and alive. Then, in the year 79, Vesuvius began to change the sky. The eruption did not begin as one simple wave of destruction. It unfolded in stages, each one more terrifying than the last. A towering column of volcanic material rose above the mountain, darkening the day and spreading across the bay. Pumice began to fall, first as a strange storm, then as a crushing weight on roofs and streets. People tried to shelter inside houses that had protected them from ordinary weather, but not from a collapsing volcanic sky. Others tried to flee through streets that grew harder to recognize with every layer of falling stone and ash. The city was being buried while it was still inhabited. Roofs gave way under the weight. Doorways jammed. Familiar routes became traps. Across the bay, observers saw a disaster so vast that it seemed to belong to myth rather than daily life. Pliny the Elder, commanding the Roman fleet nearby, moved toward the danger and did not survive it. His nephew later described the eruption with a precision that made Pompeii one of the most famous disasters in ancient history. But for those inside the city, there was no history yet, only darkness, noise, weight, and the struggle to breathe and escape. The final and deadliest phase came when fast, superheated currents swept down the volcano. These surges moved with terrifying speed, overwhelming places that had survived the first fall of Pumice. Pompeii disappeared, not because it was burned away, but because it was sealed under volcanic material. That seal became the reason the city was remembered with such force centuries later. Wood, food, wall paintings, graffiti, tools, rooms, counters, and streets were preserved in ways most ancient cities never were. The same catastrophe that ended Pompeii also protected its evidence from weather, reuse, and time. For centuries, the city vanished from ordinary memory, hidden under fields and earth. When excavations began, they did not uncover just monuments. They uncovered an interrupted day. Archaeologists found houses with objects still in place, streets still marked by wheels, and walls still carrying public notices. They also found human remains and later made casts from the spaces left in hardened ash. Those forms became some of the most haunting evidence in archaeology because they showed disaster at the scale of individual lives. Pompeii became famous because it collapsed so suddenly that time itself seemed to stop inside the city. Yet the real power of Pompeii is not only death, it is the ordinary life preserved around it. The bakeries, fountains, courtyards, shrines, taverns, paintings, and roads remind us that ancient history was lived minute by minute. Pompeii turns a Roman city into evidence, and evidence into a warning about how quickly certainty can vanish. The lost city buried under time survived because it was destroyed, and that contradiction is why it still holds the world's attention. Vesuvius did not only erase Pompeii from the surface, it created one of the clearest windows into the ancient world. Every uncovered street asks the same question: how can a city be gone and yet still feel so present?